What are you going to use this converter for? To kill people!
Hey, Maniacs.
Hey, Maniacs. Mystery Maniacs is a comedy recap podcast dedicated to mystery TV. Each week, we dig into an episode of the show, including the murders, the mayhem, the loonies. This episode has some loonies. And everything else we love. This week, Brokenwood Mysteries, The Dark Angel.
Dun, dun, dun.
Season 5, Episode 4.
It's a spooky one.
It is.
And then it just gets kind of crazy.
I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
Well, okay, first of all,
Mark has to apologize.
Well, no, winter's over. Let's cover this first.
Oh, yeah.
Winter is over and spring has begun and we could be cut off at any moment.
There's the big bada boom outside. We've had it for about 12 hours. The loudest thunder I can remember in a while.
So if you
hear that,
if you hear thunder, that's what's going on.
It's not sound effects for a spooky eepisode.
Also, if we suddenly disappear and come back and we're slightly different, it's because
you didn't edit it well enough.
Time
you lost
has
power.
passed.
Okay, now on to your apologies.
Oh my gosh. I screwed up so badly. Last week, a young Mark suggested that Brokenwood and A Remarkable Place to Die took place near each other. Now, relatively to the universe, they do.
Even to the globe, they do.
Yes, they do take place in the same country.
But in the realm of New Zealand, they do not.
Unfortunately, I was roughly 630 miles or 1,000 kilometers wrong.
But you were gently informed.
Yes, I was.
By some useful listeners.
Yes.
Who corrected you.
And there are many more mountains in the south, which is why there are mountains.
They really couldn't be further apart and still both be in New Zealand, really.
You have to fly or boat to get between them.
You did do some things right last episode, though.
Yes. So apparently some of you noticed. First of all, we got a very nice comment from Oista on Reddit that this episode was hilarious, particularly the Shih Tzu and kitten fighting. And of course, the Rocky Horror style Badger's Drift stage show.
I'm still giggling about that.
which caused both of us to almost lose it.
I almost peed my pants.
Yeah. It was, and then for those of you who listened to the bits at the end of the show, I did a dramatic reading of ELO's Evil Woman.
Which I thought was quite good.
Yes.
We also posted a rather embarrassing photo of me and one of my children eating Frodo Dogs that we made.
Yes.
They were, in fact, Korean corn dogs.
There were several people concerned that I was eating the Frodo Dogs and would get sick again.
They were good. They were a lot of work, Korean corn dogs. You have to make this yeasty batter that's got to rise, and then you've got the hot dogs don't want anything to stick to them, and you got to deep fry them, and I can't say they were worth it.
Well, we posted pictures, but wow, I did not partake.
We also got a nice message on, what was it, Blue Sky?
Yeah,
Very
well, first
special.
of all, we got some very special news from Fiona Dolman, which was...
Who was Sarah Barnaby in Midsummer.
Yeah. For anyone that does Midsummer Murders, I just received the first script of the new series. Season 25, filming starts in a week.
Woohoo!
And that was the 13th of March.
Are you surprised she only gets the script a week in advance?
No, I don't. I think they probably are on a pretty tight ship.
Yeah.
Now, I saw that on the morning and responded to that, which was, oh, we do Midsummer. And then I thought that was it.
Yeah.
Like I thought, whatever, And then I refreshed my screen and I had to go get Sarah.
Because she replied
with a gif
of Hulk Hogan
going, "What's up, Maniacs?"
Mark was very excited.
We both kind of squeaked a bit.
Yeah, we're like, oh, Fiona Dolman knows we exist.
I think that's proof she's a maniac. Now, we know from our talk with Annette Badland that there are people on the show and work on the show that are aware of us. I wouldn't say they're probably maniacs,
But they know we exist.
but they know we exist. Now, I'm wondering, Fiona. I responded, getting ready for the new season, making podcasts, gifting with cast members, the usual. We'd love to have you on the show to promote the new season. And then I put a little gif of a big fat guy squeeing. And she responded, give me a couple of weeks or so to land and I'll be in touch. And then she followed us.
Hey!
So I have hopes that young Fiona Dolman gets in contact with us and we do some promotional work for the new season.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. But I'm going to say to you, this was the second best response to this post.
Okay.
So along with this, we had Nocturnal Druid, a long-time listener to the show.
What's up, Druid?
Who actually lives in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And he posted, that's great news, with a little Troy smile. And then Fiona Dolman responded with, it's been 84 years, the Titanic gif, right? And Nocturnal Druid said, it can feel that way sometimes, but it's always worth waiting on. Always gentlemanly, always right on the mark. And then Fiona. Oh, Fiona is a maniac. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
This is how Fiona responds to Nocturnal Druid. Dear caller, we thank you for your patience. Please continue to hold, and polite and amusing murdering will continue as soon as possible. In the meantime, for your own safety, may we suggest you avoid fruit pickling, graveyard visits, walking alone, clowns, drag artists, and cheese.
That's great.
That is utterly fantastic.
That's a lot to type out with your thumbs.
Yeah.
She's awesome. That's so fun.
She's a maniac. I know it.
She's a maniac.
Yep.
Even if she's not one of our maniacs, she's a maniac.
Yep, she's a maniac. Sarah hadn't heard that post.
No,
so
I hadn't. I didn't know. I didn't see that one.
I saved that for her.
So speaking of Fionas, Dark Angel has a Fiona in it. Let's dive in.
Yes, this episode, 18th of November, 2018. Mark Beasley directs it and Tim Baum writes it. This is right down the middle, the team. Mm-hmm. And I think they do a great job in this episode.
I do too. It starts out so creepy and then it gets funny, and
I think it has all those elements, and the offshoot of everything is you learn that the medical professionals are horrible individuals.
Well, the ones in this episode are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that the people who you feel the most sympathy for are the people who
are vulnerable.
Appear to be not sympathetic at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So we start out with a couple of teenagers breaking into Brokenwood Downs, which is an abandoned psych hospital. Yeah. Have you ever broken into an abandoned building?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No. So, what did you break into? And then I'll tell you what I broke into.
This comes from the I can't believe we were alive file.
That we survived this file?
So in the town I grew up in Carlton Place, it's not like this anymore, but there was an old mill right downtown that was abandoned. People weren't doing anything with it. But kids broke in and did all sorts of things. You know, drink and canoodle and all that stuff.
So are you a teenager?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we LARPed in this environment.
You played live action Dungeons and Dragons in an abandoned mill.
Yes.
Okay. Well, at least you were doing something productive, I guess.
The high point being, in the middle of the night, the three of us climbing down the elevator shaft in the dark.
And you didn't die or get tetanus.
We did not die.
Wow. Yeah.
I can remember walking along on the second floor, and one of my friends was on the floor above, and his leg went through this floor and was hanging from the ceiling.
And you didn't think we should get out of here?
No, that was before going down the elevator.
Well, when I was
we did this a number of times.
I was like 9 or 10, and me and a few friends broke into an abandoned hospital that was near where I grew up because we were sure there was a morgue in there. And like there would still be bodies in the morgue.
I guess.
We were looking for spooky stuff because I've changed so much since then. So they break in, and of course they find a body because this is Brokenwood.
Yes.
You got to find a body. Meantime, at the Toad and Frog or Toad and Lion, I get it all confused.
It's the Toad and Lion.
Toad and Lion.
I think so.
The other one was the Frog and Tiger.
Yes.
Okay. There's amateur. Well, it's not amateur. It's comedy night. They've actually paid
It's comedy night.
Gerry Manders to come and perform.
Wow.
And it's hard to be this bad at being funny.
Who I feel sorry for is the bearded guy who's there 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, well, he does it to himself. He's paying a $10 cover to get in and see this guy twice. He's a glutton for punishment.
Ray got taken by this guy.
I didn't understand one of his jokes.
Okay.
So Gerry says Achilles had problems with his calves, which I thought he was talking about his Achilles tendon, like his heel is his weak point, right? But he does like little horns on his head, like he's talking about a cow.
I think he thinks that that's what he had, maybe.
But he talks about his armor having
Gerry is not good at telling jokes, so trying to decipher them is a problem.
Yeah. Well.
Frodo's there. Mm-hmm. Gina's there.
Mm-hmm.
And our other players arrive.
Well, and I think it's the second night when we see a clip. Mrs. Marlowe is there.
Mrs. Marlowe's on the second night.
But yeah, Buchanan and Hopalong Cassidy and Chris Kramer, who we've seen before, who looks a bit like the sketch of the Unabomber when he's got his sunglasses on. Do you notice that?
He does.
They all show up and they're like, ha, 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 this is funny. Ha, ha, ha. And then you find out later that, well, we spoil things. If you don't know, it's a spoiler podcast. They've just come from the murder scene. So they're like, this is our alibi. Ha, 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 ha.
I want the 15 minutes of that car ride with the 4 of them in the car.
Yeah, we see a little bit of it. Jacob Deschler, the former doctor in charge of this hospital, has been killed with an ECT machine.
Did you notice the glowing eyes in the window?
No.
Yeah. And they're there when the cops show up, but no one says anything. So they're 2 little red dots in the window on the right-hand side of the back wall.
It's got to be a reflection
It's
from
a
a piece of
reflection
equipment or
of
something.
some piece of equipment. But I was like, the glowing eye guy did it.
So we find out pretty quickly that Jacob Deschler was a horrible person. Like he wasn't actually trying to help anybody. He was a torturer. And then I thought, and maybe I'm just listening to too many World War II podcasts, but his name is Jacob with a K.
Yes.
Deschler. It's a very German name.
I think they're implying that.
And I wonder if they're trying to throw back to a little bit.
I think they are.
He's done 7 years in prison for torture.
Yeah. My first thought was, you only get 7 years for torture.
You should get more than that. Like there should be.
There's some people.
There's like 10 patients
do a
there
7
at
stints.
least, and he should get 7 for each of them at least.
I want to talk a little bit about the set design here because it is really good. Mm-hmm. So you have the machine, the ECT machine. Mm-hmm. You have Dressler barefoot on the gurney, which is just great. You have a chair sitting beside him at the machine. All of that straight out of horror.
Oh, yeah.
Then juxtaposed to it.
Balloons, party balloons.
Party balloons and a I'm sorry banner.
Yes. It's a party. Everybody's received an invitation.
So now what we must understand is that the killer went there early, did some party setup.
Bought a tank of helium to inflate the balloons or went to a party store and got a bunch of balloons.
Assembled the sign, because those signs come as a kit, you told me.
So you can spell out what you want.
But they don't usually say I'm sorry.
No, they usually say happy birthday, George, or something.
Then got dressed up in their Dark Angel gear,
Yes.
waited for Dressler to show up, and whammed him in the back of the head.
After making invitations for everybody printed on rice paper that they had to eat as soon as they opened it.
Or deconstruct.
Yes. Gerry deconstructs his. It's a lot of trouble to go to.
That is an enormous amount of anger. Now, I realize why she has the anger, but it's well, she stays there for she creates a whole persona.
Yeah, a whole career.
She is Looney McTooney.
And I actually think that Amy is who we're talking about. I actually think that she cares about her patients. I think she probably is a good therapist.
I think she thought it was bad, and then these people made her realize how much worse it was.
Yeah.
And that he needed to die with an I'm sorry sign and balloons.
Yes. And then his wife, well, his current wife, his ex-wife thinks she's a mouse because among his acts of evil, he gaslit her into being insane.
So gaslighting, a term that Breen is unfamiliar with.
Yeah, when gaslighting comes up, Breen's like, he lit her on fire?
No.
No.
But now most people know what gaslighting from. They might not know where it's from.
Yeah.
It's from a movie called Gaslight.
Right. But he drove her insane.
Yeah.
And I think a psychiatrist who is evil probably could do that to somebody.
I would agree with
Especially somebody who trusted them.
that. So everyone arrives.
There's no power.
There's no power.
That's the big mystery, is how was the ECT machine powered?
Yes.
And powered enough to overcome its limitations and kill him.
Because it normally doesn't kill people.
No, it can absolutely fry you and break your brain.
Well, Amy went to the Jared and Kahoo Electrical Society School for Electrical Engineering.
I want to watch the Kahoo and Jared electricity show. Like,
Yep.
they're like Q for Mike.
The best part of that is they go to Mike's house to do it.
Yeah, of course they do.
They must have looked at each other and went, oh, we're not going to do it at our house.
No. There's a great series of jokes when the detectives are back at the... No, they're not even back at the station. They're on the crime scene.
Yep.
And Breen says that teens often break in there to canoodle.
And they're making fun of what Mike talks like.
His old style. I say canoodle.
I say canoe.
I mean, not frequently, but I would.
So
I certainly say heebie-jeebies.
yeah, it has a bunch of different...
Yeah, do you know where canoodle comes from?
Well, I think the Yiddish origin's probably the most likely.
So there's three options if you want to know the etymology of canoodle.
Yes.
It's either caress plus noodle,
Yes.
which makes no sense to me whatsoever. Or it's from the German word for cuddling, which is knudeln,
Yes.
which I think is kind of likely. But it's not my favorite.
Okay.
My favorite is that maybe it comes from when Victorian daters would sneak away from their chaperones by jumping on a canoe. Which must have been so common that they would come up with slang for it.
Wow.
Let's canoodle. All right, jump in.
I don't think that's
Liza?
probable, but I agree. That's the best answer.
I like it the best.
And they also say heebie-jeebies, which is from a Billy DeBeck comic.
Deschler, for an evil, torturing masochist, has a beautiful house. It's
Evil,
not fair.
torturing, masochist, criminal.
Yes.
Convict.
Yes. Has a beautiful house that I think is called Toad Hall. The front door definitely has a sign on it. A nice brass sign.
It says Toad
something. It's got to be Hall.
It's got to be Toad Hall.
Unless it says Toad crazy ass evil guy's house. They wouldn't show that part though, of course. And so Fiona is his second wife, who I assume she was a nurse at the clinic, and that's how they met.
Yes.
Because she like hero worships him.
Yes. It's totally workplace romance. I'm going to gaslight my wife and make her insane and torture her.
Because Fiona saw that happen.
You know that plot.
Fiona saw that happen and thought, he's so amazing. He's a genius. So she was predisposed to evil is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think so.
So she was evil coming into the deal, I think.
She kind of has an evil Nurse Ratched thing going on.
Yeah.
And then, like, okay, Sarah knows I work for really nice people because they work with her too. But if my boss was to ask me to dress up like a dark angel and
To scare people who are vulnerable,
I'd likely do
question
part of it.
something. You would?
Maybe.
These junior web developers are not doing their jobs well enough, Mark. Put on this costume and scare the bejeebus out of them, okay?
Bejeebus. So it looks like there's been an ambush to execute him.
I'm kind of curious of if you've just watched this episode for the first time, or if you can remember what you were thinking the first time you watched it, if you suspected Amy from the beginning. Because I know that I did. Because she's too good. She's too nice. She's too helpful.
And too into Mike.
And then she wants to get into Mike's head.
Yeah.
And as soon as she does that, as soon as she's like offering, well, anytime you want to talk to me, I don't think real therapists do that.
No.
They might say, I'm kind of sensing that maybe you've got some history with this. Maybe you should talk to somebody about that. Not talk to me about that.
And they would also, like, I would say real therapists are probably very good at deflecting. Mm-hmm. And
they have to compartmentalize that stuff.
Yeah. So, but I don't care about any of that because I'm completely obsessed with 2 minutes of the show where they're standing in the cop shop and there's a sign behind them.
Of course you are. Because you're a maniac.
So as we recall 2 episodes ago, the sign said that you should return all cups.
Wash and return your cups, Gerald or whoever it was.
Nigel. So I noticed right away that there was something else on the sign. I was like, okay.
The sign has changed.
The sign has changed.
What did it say this time?
It says, charity poker game this Friday, 3:30, Toad and Lion. Let's help those kids.
Those kids.
But this is exactly the same time as the charity
cricket game.
But
that's not for kids.
But
you're supposed to go to the cricket game and then go play poker. It's a charity day.
The other surprising thing about that
only if they get Gerry off the stage.
Yes. The only other surprising thing about that particular scene was Breen says, I have a team working on it.
I have a team tracking down all the mobile generators for hire. I love invisible teams. Especially on a small police force where there's like a dozen officers.
I'm like, Breen as a team?
I love that in a show like this where they just go, get uniforms on that. I wish I could do that in my life where I could just say, I'm gonna put some uniforms on that. I've got a team looking into that. And then later, somebody would just hand me a piece of paper with the answer to a question on it. That's what I want.
So, Sarah, I have a question for you. How many other episodes did I look at and look for the sign see if it changed?
I'm going to guess at least 10.
I looked at 4 episodes and the sign did not change.
So before that, it was all about Nigel.
It was all about that or clean up or stuff like that.
Okay. So this is the first time it's about...
those kids.
So we have a group of former patients. Right, Lulu, Barnaby Buchanan, Hopalong Cassie, Christopher Kramer.
And they do a good job of introducing rich backstories with these characters that make them sympathetic, that are slightly funny and tragic at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. His name's Buchanan. Isn't there another character named Buchanan?
Oh, my notes just say... Dennis Buchanan is his brother. Oh, shit. There's also Gerry Manders, nice one, and Nigel Smythe. Now, Nigel is off in a secure unit or prison or somewhere.
Something like that.
But the rest of them are there. Lulu thinks she's a mouse. Barnaby's married to a horse, and he's not a mathematician, but he thinks he is.
So Barnaby's going to talk to the mouse lady with Amy. Mm-hmm. And then Sims... says, we'll do the rest. And they suggest talking to the crazy guy. What's his name?
Kramer?
They suggest talking to Kramer, and immediately Sims goes bags not.
And puts her thumb on her forehead.
Thumb on her forehead.
Which is not me.
The international symbol for not it. But it's not how we do not it.
We put our finger on our nose to say not it.
That's North American.
The last person to put their finger on their nose is it.
And I remember that from being a kid in Canada. So
Yeah.
it is definitely North American. And I've done it here and people
Know what you're doing.
know what I'm doing. But the thumb on the head is a new one.
Yeah.
It may be a British thing. And why she says bag snot.
I don't know. I looked it up. I couldn't find anything.
At first, I thought she said bag snot.
That's like deterred.
Yes.
Undeterred, sorry. Under a turd? Bag snot.
So Breen loses and he has to go talk to the guy, the crazy guy.
Well, he's talked to him before. He's got rapport.
Yes. Gina is fantastic in this episode and is everywhere.
Yeah.
She's at the comedy night. She's at the cricket match.
Yeah.
And she's talking about Russian serial killers.
She would rather autopsy a Russian serial killer
I would say
than
victims.
She calls Mike and she says, "I'm very disturbed."
Yes.
And he thinks, "Oh, by something about the body." And she says, "No, I was at a comedy night last night." Like, non sequitur much?
Yeah.
Why
Well,
are you calling him to tell him that? Oh, and by the way, come talk to me about this body that I haven't autopsied yet.
but I know the exact minute of death, but we're going to keep that secret.
Oh, that's an old trope. It's the watch.
Yeah.
It's always the watch.
And the watch is a problem because it can be set again.
No, that's not how it works, Mark.
Okay.
It's always absolutely accurate, whether it's smashed or fried or whatever, it's accurate.
Okay.
Let's talk about Barnaby Buchanan.
Oh, Barnaby.
He has an office
Yep.
where he does math.
Well, he's supposed to do math.
What does he actually do?
So Sims calls him. He says, I got to go. So she goes to his office
Well, he just
at
hangs
the
up on her.
Brokenwood office building.
Yes.
And we find out later that really, as part of his treatment,
It's a trust fund.
it's part of his
The
trust
Buchanan's
fund.
parents' trust fund says
Yeah.
that he has to hold down a job in order to get the money. And so he has a fake job where he goes to an office every day and looks at an equation.
And this is where the subversive part of this episode happens, which is Dennis is a wonderful brother.
Yeah,
Okay.
he is.
Dennis sets him up in the office.
Yep.
Makes sure he's there every day, right?
Yep.
He also takes care of him when he's in trouble. Dennis can be a million bad things, but he is a good brother.
Are you surprised that people like Barnaby and Gerry Manders are allowed to drive?
A little. Yeah.
Like Gerry doesn't pull over and take his car apart on a whim?
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean, I guess if you kind of separate the crazy in your life, and you sequester it to certain behaviors, then you can do normal, responsible things the rest of the time. They don't hallucinate or anything.
I meet people all day that I'm like, how do you drive?
Yeah, you're allowed to drive?
So The Office is another amazing set, right? It has bookshelves with nothing.
Nothing in them.
There's a whiteboard with this equation.
The chalkboard, yeah.
Not the Ryman equation.
No.
We looked it up.
It looks complicated, but it's
different
not. And don't even try to understand what the Ryman equation is. Look it up if you want to. But I remember I passed trigonometry in high school, and I did not even understand the explanation of the purpose of it. It went right over my head.
And then we get a fantastic touch of directing because he says, I was at a comedy show, and before that, I had dinner with my wife, and we went for a walk. And did you notice what was on his desk?
A picture of a horse.
Picture of a horse.
I love when
Nothing has been said about
Nope.
his wife and the horse, or
Nope.
nothing. Nothing has been said.
No. I love when he calls Sims pretending to be Betty. He goes, hello, this is Betty Buchanan. My husband was with me. Goodbye. Nay.
She couldn't have called from your phone. They're the worst liars.
Yeah, she doesn't speak English very well. I probably was translating. Yes, that's what I was doing. It's like, okay, you're figuring out your lie while you're talking. That's
Yeah.
not a good thing to
And
do.
that's good acting.
So he believes that the horse is his wife because they were in a car accident and she died, and he thinks he saw her soul go from her body into the horse. So since
Comedic.
then, the horse has been his wife.
Comedic and tragic at the same time.
If you
Fantastic.
and I were in a horrible car accident.
Oh, no.
And I died in the car, and you imagined in your trauma my soul going into something else, what would the object be? If you could choose.
If I could choose. Oh, I don't know.
I've thought a lot about this.
This is maybe like a styrofoam jack-o'-lantern, maybe? I'm just trying to think off the top of my
Something
head.
that would remind you of me?
Yes, and not like the problem with the horse is he has to take care of the horse.
Yeah.
Right? And,
Including shoveling its crap.
Yeah.
Betty.
and B, horses don't live as long as people.
No. So she's going to die again.
Yeah.
I thought about this and I thought what I would want if I really thought you were in it would be something I could have with me and that I could talk to without looking too crazy.
Okay.
So either a Star Trek communicator badge.
Oh.
Because you're into Star Trek,
Yeah.
right? So if I wore it, people would think, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
But then I could touch it and I could talk to you, right? And people would tolerate it.
This implies quite rightly that either of us, after a car accident or one of us died, we would both go literally insane.
Yes, without each other. But I think people would tolerate it because they'd be like, oh, she's grieving. She lost the love of her life. And if not that, you know those little troll dolls with the crazy hair?
What?
Not because it would remind me of you, but because I could they're little, so I could carry it in my pocket. And I could get it out and I could talk to it. I'd be like, what do you think I should do, Mark?
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been replaced by a troll doll.
I miss you so much. And they have such little expressive eyes.
And
I'd be
your
like,
hair looks exactly the same.
I just think I could get away with it a little bit, maybe.
Now we have to do a picture of me superimposed on a troll doll.
Anyway, that's what I would go for.
The comedy night has a couple of things, right? It has a fantastic sign
Yes.
with a font that is clearly out of Microsoft Publisher.
Yes.
Ray went out, all out, because Ray also produced posters.
No, I think those are Gerry's posters.
Oh, you think Gerry brought them?
Yes.
They are fantastic posters.
Because Gerry's also built a website for himself and put fake quotes from fake sources on it. I mean, he's really dedicated to this comedy career.
It says, "Dark Side of My Mind." This is a bad start.
It is the best poster. The photograph of him is so great. I love it so much.
It's $10 a seat. And it just is the saddest thing to look at.
Ray's dumb for booking him 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people live in town? Can you really fill the house 3 different times? Because the same person is not going to come back 2 nights in a row to hear the same comedy. So if Gerry's good, like you're going to fill the house 3 times, $10 covers.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Patton Oswalt was just in town. Mm-hmm. He's worth $10.
He was like $40.
I'd pay $30 or $40 to go see Patton.
He's been on TV and stuff.
But $10? That's a lot of money to
But
see.
I think Ray's grubby. They probably split it. That's probably the deal.
I guess.
Yeah, the lights just flashed in this room. Are we still recording?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're still recording.
If you hear dun 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 dun, the Wicked Witch has just gone by the window. It's that weird green, absolutely still outside.
We are in the center of the storm.
Yes. Anyway,
Harmony Vale.
Bangladesh is not the answer to any of my questions. I'm going to use that in a meeting.
I'm going to say Bangladesh all the time. The Harmony Vale Lodge, which is just horrible. Mm-hmm. And we find out there that she was Dressler's wife.
Yeah.
And this is where we get the notion that the battery, like, okay, we need a generator to generate that much power. Mm-hmm. Even though a generator wouldn't do that. So again, let's go back to what she had to do before they got there. So put up the balloons with the helium and the sign.
Make
and
the invitations.
Get the cloaks on.
Drop them all off.
All the invitations.
Buy rice paper. Where do you even get that?
Where do you even get rice paper? And then she had to change the electronics of the ECT machine.
You could get a converter.
What are you going to use this converter for? To kill people!
Well, she's obviously pretty savvy because she knows how to pull electricity from the battery in her electric car.
Yeah, that's not possible.
And that's a really long cord, too.
So they try a generator with Jared and the mouse lady. And she does what I completely understood as an excellent response to
It's
that.
overstimulating. It's way too loud. And she runs and hides.
Yeah, they know it's not that. So then Jared goes, can I borrow this? And I'm like,
well, Jared's on the case. Mike has seeded that, right? Never mind that when Sims sees Jared and Kahu together, Jared introduces Kahu as my uncle's brother's cousin.
yes.
Which means, wouldn't that just be your uncle's cousin?
And nobody goes, whoa.
Yeah, it's your first cousin once removed.
Okay.
That's who he would be.
Yep.
But it's more fun to say my uncle's brother's cousin.
Yes.
But yeah, so a generator won't do the job because that's too loud. So then they get...
Now they're at Frodo's coffee hut, but we haven't seen Frodo at the coffee hut yet.
No.
Okay.
They get a whole bunch of car batteries and a watermelon.
Where did they get the car batteries?
I don't know, the car place.
Why did they do it? Why did they do it at Mike's?
Wouldn't you?
I would do it at Mike's.
I would do it at somebody else's house.
They burn the
They
watermelon.
fry it from the inside.
They fry the watermelon from the inside. That is the best, New Zealand Mythbusters episode ever.
Does Kahu need a machete?
I guess.
How many watermelons have they already fried? What would fried watermelon taste like? Why is it black? I have so many questions. Shouldn't it be smoking?
I would think it would be. So we went over the backstory of Dennis's brother. Mm-hmm. Now Cassie is known as Hopalong in town, which is cruel, but
she does hop.
People are cruel about these things.
It's not the meanest thing they could call her.
No. And she says she was a dancer at the Bolshoi, and Sims
Does not.
Some ethical problems this episode.
Does she? She looks up Buchanan's phone for evidence while he's injured and incapacitated.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
The court's not going to like that.
No.
And she says she was dropped on her head and shows
A hole in her head.
a hole in her head.
They could have called her Humpty Dumpty. They called her a Hopalong.
And so that's her story. Sims doesn't believe a bit of it. And Mrs. M goes, oh, no, it's all true.
Yeah. Yeah. She had a scholarship.
The mouse lady was the ex-wife who got gaslit.
Yeah.
But we don't know up until this point that Gerry is actually Gerald.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy, sorry.
But it's not difficult to figure out that he's one of them.
And then we have the side plot that you're not supposed to notice, which is the person who died that was killed by Dressler was a famous author. This show is fantastic this is a famous author that no one's heard about, and here's a book by them.
Yeah.
And everybody knows about this.
And they're dead.
I'd say that's completely unrealistic, but there's huge swaths of Canadian literature that I've made reference to in front of people in America, and they have no idea. No idea.
No. Margaret Atwood is it. That's it.
That's it.
That's the only author
Canadian
you have.
author.
Yeah.
So, and 10 years ago, people wouldn't know who Margaret Atwood was.
Yeah. We read Handmaid's Tale in college, and that was more than 10 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. So we're not supposed to pay attention to this subplot about the author and his family being dispersed because his wife was American, so they went back to America.
Except he died the day after his daughter's 30th birthday.
Yes.
Hughes dropping a big hint.
Yes. Hughes is there to drop hints and throw balls.
At Buchanan's head. Conk. Conk. If he didn't have a helmet on, he might have been dead. I love that he gets up. He's like, I'm okay. And then he just melts.
That's some good physical acting.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So Jeremy takes Breen's pen apart because he has this problem. And you looked up the name of it.
It's called punding.
Punding.
It's like it's a tic that where you repeatedly do an action that's not goal or outcome oriented, like sorting things or taking things apart or putting things together. People with Parkinson's do it.
And now
lot.
this isn't when you're putting something together. When you do it purposely, it's called kneeling.
But it's a compulsion.
This is a compulsion, right?
I kind of did that as a kid.
I took tons of stuff apart as a kid.
I was more focused on everything my sister owned that she liked.
But that's because you went to the youngest sibling club.
My dad bought her, she loved to play store. And my dad found this old cash register that went ka-ching and everything.
Yeah.
And she played with it once, and then I took it apart. Every piece. I sorted all the screws into a pile. I mean, it was as deconstructed as it could be.
Your sister lives in another state, right?
Uh-huh. I love her.
Do you have a favorite pen?
I have a favorite pencil, a brand of pencil.
Oh, what pencil do you use?
They're called Black Wings. I love them so much. I'm holding one in my hand right now.
I also have a favorite kind of pencil because I'm that kind of guy. I have a
Japanese mechanical pencil.
That when you press on it,
the lead rotates.
So that it's always kind of sharpening itself.
Nerd.
I love them immensely. And so those of you who know I'm a productivity person and I like productivity stuff, so I have a number of notebooks and I do write a number of things and notes and lists in my Japanese mechanical pencil. They're not super expensive.
No, but you have the one and you misplaced it one day and I thought you were going to have a fit.
Well, I have 5 now.
Yeah,
so,
you solved that problem after that happened. Anyway, Mrs. Marlowe sees Dennis walking Betty in the rain.
Yes.
This is conspicuous.
Yes. And Dennis does the great lawyer thing of, I don't think it's raining.
Just deny reality and keep going.
It's like so raining.
But what did Mrs. Marlowe think he was going to do? Just tie Betty up to the fence and get in the car? Leave her out there all night?
She goes, get in the car. And I was like, both of them?
Yeah. Betty's sitting in the back seat. The 3 of them just going down the road. Yeah.
And the other way, the 4 former patients are going in the car and the other way.
Yeah. We're going to the comedy show where we will have been all evening.
Oh, okay. Hughes is in his whites.
So the cricket game.
At the cricket game.
Gina's there.
Gina is in her whites.
Hughes is there. Buchanan's there.
Yep. And Breen is in his whites. But Sims is there and is all business, and Gina just eviscerates her.
Because Mike's not there.
Yeah.
Mike should be here. She just wants Mike to see her in her whites.
And she's like, why didn't you tell Mike, why didn't you offer to Mike to take some time off?
did.
She's like, I did. Well, you didn't try hard enough.
She's kind of nasty about it.
I have a note that says Mike holds down the fort with his new girlfriend, Killer, and the mouse lady.
Yeah, he goes to see Amy. He's already hinted that the ECT is kind of bringing back some bad memories. And we know that it's about one of his wives who needed some mental health treatment.
This is a touching scene where Mike is going to open up.
He cries.
No. That's the second scene. I'm talking about the first scene.
The coffee shop.
Where they're having coffee.
Yeah. And he's almost about to admit something about one of his ex-wives.
And I screamed.
And you scream?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
I thought you said he was going to open up about his ex-wife and ice cream.
No.
Okay.
I screamed.
Okay.
Because Frodo comes up to give them coffee and explain that maybe he was a little more upset about his friend dying. Mm-hmm. Which should have been in our episode 1 notes of what happens later. And he has on a Frodo dog hat.
Hey!
It is fantastically homemade. It means that Frodo Dogs is still alive.
No, it just means that he's too cheap to get a new hat. That's all.
I had a bit of the depressions. Well, a lot of the depressions.
Yeah. After his friend was murdered at his bachelor party.
When you're like standing by the river, throwing your gun in the river.
And you were almost arrested for murdering him. maybe that was upsetting a little bit. But then when Mike is at Amy's office,
Yes.
I think Sims has figured it out. Jared has figured it out. Mike's not answering his phone.
Well, we have the let's call Mike scene where everybody in the scene calls Mike.
Tries to call Mike. But then he talks about his ex-wife and he really tears up.
Because Jared has given him the clue. Jared has figured out the clue, which is it's an electric car.
But Neil Ray is such a good actor because he just wells up.
Yeah.
How you do that, I don't know.
Yeah.
He must be like pinching his thigh real hard. Something to make his eyes well up like that. It's so good. But then he finds the book.
He finds the book first. And she also does the flirty thing that kind of made me throw up a bit in my mouth, where she was like, it's like somebody going through your underwear drawer, isn't it, Mikey? Like it was like that.
She's talking about a mouse.
No, I know, but it just...
She calls him Mikey? No, she doesn't.
She doesn't call him Mikey, but she mentions her underwear drawer, and I just felt... Ugh.
I remember the first time I saw this, she said she was going to go get a book out of her car, and that seemed unlikely to me.
Yeah.
It was either she's going to take off because she thinks that he knows, or she's going out to get a weapon.
Yes.
But she's actually just going out to get a book.
Now, we talked about the incredible house that
Toad Hall
is. Did you see her office?
Yeah,
it's
but
this giant white house.
Yeah, but that's pretty typical for a small town.
But there would be more people there.
She's just got one office in that big house. Maybe it's a Saturday. The cricket game's on. It's a weekend.
Now, they do something in this episode that I know you don't like, which is they do reenactments of the crime with other people as the killer.
Yeah.
And then
false reenactments.
Finally, we get the true reenactment, though it does not include the party planning or the rice paper purchasing or the invitation creating.
She must have had a to-do list.
You gotta have a list.
That's too much to remember.
Once it's past 3 things, you need a list, right? You're going to the grocery store. You got to get eggs. You got to get ketchup. You got to get milk. Oh, we're at a list.
They should have known right off the bat that it had to be her because all these people are contingent living at best, except Barnaby Buchanan. Mm-hmm. And somebody knows where they all live to give them an invitation, and she's the only one.
She's the only one.
And the only reason it takes her so long to invite Gerry is that she doesn't know where he is, but then he comes to town.
And then she kind of pretends with Mike that she's not the murderer. Mike's like, oh, no.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you're upset because your dad got killed, and you're seeking a little bit of revenge.
So she's
spent hours talking to these patients about all this trauma that they've experienced.
So her dad dies at 30. She goes with her mom to the United States. Then she goes to Bolivia. Ecuador. Then she gets the plan. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back.
Changes her name
back to New Zealand. And I'm going to pretend. Do you think she's an actual therapist?
Well, if she was 30, she may have already done that for a living or gone to college or whatever. Yeah.
Let's give her that.
Yeah.
But then she waits while he's in prison, planning this.
Mm-hmm.
And like, wow.
Well, and you can assume that his sentence probably wasn't 7 years. It was probably like 25 years, and he only served 7.
Yes.
So she's got to be there in advance.
Yeah.
Waiting.
And then
he's going to get released at some point.
With all this crazy stuff going on, the comedy show, these 4 horribly broken individuals, the electrical engineering society, the Buchanan getting hit in the head in the hospital, the doctor, with all of this, the episode goes, goodbye.
The end.
Like nothing.
Do you think she practiced on watermelons too?
Oh, well, maybe.
And Cassie lives in the room above the room where they have the party.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Cassie catch her setting up?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe she should have had like watermelons all over her office.
Like just over in the corner of the room where he dies, there should be a pile of seemingly perfect watermelons. But then when Gina cuts them open, every one of them is black and charred on the inside. Somebody was practicing on watermelons. This is an ancient Russian killing technique.
Yeah, they walk out with her, and Mike's kind of like, oh, well.
I think he's sad.
He's sad.
And he must feel really betrayed.
And
because
they all must feel betrayed.
Because he just opened up about something to her.
Yeah.
And then finds out she is not at all who she says she is.
Yeah.
Though she is kind of. Like, she's just as damaged and broken as all those other people are, just in a different way. I think he feels bad for her, but betrayed too.
Okay. She's done all this. Okay. Mm-hmm. That book should be her most precious possession. Mm-hmm. Why is it at work?
Because when you're in a job like that, you need to look smart, and you need a bunch of books to look smart.
But wouldn't she have that in a very special place in her house?
Maybe. Or to hide it amongst a bunch of other books. But it's probably the only book of poetry on that shelf, don't you think? The rest of them would be psychiatric reference books.
Oh, I bought it at a garage sale.
I mean, I would keep it at home in a special place.
Yeah. Wouldn't you? Like,
I just said that's what I would do, so yeah, I would.
Yeah. It's just weird. And then the episode just...
And then it just ends. No banter, no funny, Gina hitting home run or whatever they call it in cricket.
Joke.
No, nothing.
Like no going to the comedy night on the third night and suddenly Gerry's funny.
He just makes the one joke over and over again. The one about the screwdriver just over and over.
Yep.
Because he finally said something funny.
Never mind. We didn't even talk about Breen and him in the car and the attempted suicide. And Breen's great. Like, this is so full, this episode. It's really full.
Yeah.
And yet it moves along.
Yep. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Bangladesh is not the answer to any of my questions. I got the team on it. Just remember.
So what happens after this? Because we know who the dead body is.
There's only one.
And he does a good job.
These poor people are going to need even more help.
Yes.
Which hopefully they get. Hopefully none of them go, Amy was right. There's some other people who were kind of mean to me.
If I was Fiona, I'd be not only seeking higher authority, but maybe moving.
3 days in church is not going to fix what's wrong with her.
No.
She's very broken, and why she didn't move away from there in the first place, I don't know.
She's like Fiona, she-devil of the SS.
She should be long gone, except, she can't leave Toad Hall because it's too cool.
If any therapist suggests getting dressed up in costumes, no.
I'm not going to say that. I don't know.
Maybe.
But if it's get up dressed in a costume to scare these vulnerable people we're treating... That's right out.
Yeah. That scene. So they
If I ask you to dress up like a troll, it's not therapy.
Cool. Is my hair high enough? So they do a reenactment scene of the torture.
Water torture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Poor Buchanan. And the entire room is white. It's the same room. So I went back and forth between those two scenes of the death and the
treatment and
finding
the party.
The body and the party. The party. Worst party ever.
Yeah.
And all they did was turn on a bunch of lights, right? Because the walls are white and everything. But they put these big plastic pieces down on the floor, like tablecloths.
To make it look like it was
all white.
A clean, nice, white room.
Like super white.
You know what? I need to retract some statements, though. I've just figured something out. I've been saying that though Amy is the killer... She actually seemed like a caring therapist. But she purposefully exposed all of these people who are vulnerable already to watching this guy twitch and foam and die in front of them.
So she could frame them.
And thought that would be therapeutic for them, if not frame them.
She either thought it would be therapeutic, I'm sorry, or frame them.
Either way, I take it all back. She's horrible too.
Yeah.
She's bad.
Really, anyone who cares for people is horrible in this episode.
Yeah.
And the people getting cared for are not.
Yeah, I agree. They seem to be better support for one another than any of the people who are actually supposed to be supporting them.
Well, plus it only takes two people to run in a silence.
Well, yeah, if you're doing stuff that you don't want anybody to see And you don't really care about quality of care.
Multi-floor asylum.
They just close off, narrow it down to like 1 or 2 rooms.
Young teenage Frodo's in the back, mopping,
mowing the grass, serving Frodo dogs.
With Frodo Dogs
With the hat on.
Yep.
So that is The Dark Angel. What's up next week? Season 6, episode 1?
Season 6, episode 1. Oh, we are in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen, because it is the power of steam. The infamous
Steam Fair
episode.
Oh, the steampunk.
And if you remember, it's a dog episode with Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And I think an ex-wife.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So
might be the same one that's shown up before, though.
yes.
Yeah. A repeat ex-wife.
Yes.
We're never going to know how many he actually has.
No, we're not.
All right.
It's impolite to count people's exes.
Especially the ones that have died drowning.
Yes.
Or through ECT maybe, or who knows?
Who knows?
Anyway, until next week, bye, Maniacs.
Bye, Maniacs. Thanks for joining us on the Mystery Maniacs podcast. If you enjoyed our crazy podcast today, don't miss out on future episodes. Follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and exclusive sneak peeks. Subscribe, like, and share to spread the word. Bye, Maniacs.
Sorry, I thought you were going to blow your nose.
I thought I was too, but I just needed to wipe it.